Ronnie O'Sullivan arrived at the Crucible carrying two cues after a troublesome tip wrecked his UK Championship campaign, and the unconventional precaution paid off handsomely. A 10-2 demolition of Chinese debutant Guoqiang, featuring 3 century breaks in under an hour with his reserve cue, has kept the 50-year-old firmly on course for a record-breaking 8th world title. Next up is fellow veteran John Higgins in what promises to be a compelling Class of '92 reunion in the last 16. The cue had spent most of the year gathering dust under a bed in Ireland. On Wednesday afternoon at the Crucible, it was responsible for 3 century breaks in under an hour. O'Sullivan's decision to bring 2 cues to Sheffield was not a whim. It was a calculated response to a painful lesson learned in December. His opening round defeat at the UK Championship to China's Zhou Yulong, 6-4 at the York Barbican, had little to do with form or focus. The problem was the tip of his cue, which had deteriorated to the point where he simply could not execute the shots he wanted. A worn or poorly shaped tip removes the ability to apply side and screw with any consistency, which for a player whose entire game is built on cue ball control is effectively a veto on his best snooker. That experience clearly left a mark. Rather than risk finding himself in the same position at the most important event in the calendar, O'Sullivan retrieved a backup cue from beneath his bed in Ireland and brought it to Sheffield as insurance. When Tuesday's session revealed his primary cue tip was again unreliable, the switch was made without drama. 3 centuries followed. The gamble, by any measure, had come off. It is also worth noting the broader context of O'Sullivan's season leading into Sheffield. He reached the World Open final in China in March, a tournament at which he also compiled that extraordinary 153 break, the highest in the history of the professional game, achieved after a free ball from a snooker acted as a 16th red. But that run was only his 3rd tournament of 2026, having lost in the last 16 of the World Grand Prix and the last 32 at the German Masters earlier in January. By his own reckoning, he has been selective about where he commits his energies, and it appears to be a deliberate conservation strategy ahead of Sheffield. If O'Sullivan navigates the Higgins hurdle and progresses deep into the draw, the question of an 8th world title and the outright record in the modern era that would come with it will dominate the conversation in Sheffield for the next 2 weeks.